Welcome, welcome, welcome to Empower Moment with yours truly, Dr. G. I am here, and this February, today is February 26, 2026. Do you like to play on the numbers? 22626. That means that it's a blessing in it. I am here to do what I do every month, what I call Empowerment Moment. This is part of my goal. We exist to support families facing autism and other intellectual disabilities throughout their lifespan. We were created to create connections and to provide resources. And for almost 18 years, May 6th precisely, will be 18 years since we started this journey. And it came out of personal need, and it came out of personal need to be connected to other people. As a person of faith, a woman who believes that God created me for a purpose, I know that when He entrusted me with an amazing family, a young man that needed, now he's a young man that needs support. I needed other people to be supportive alongside with me. And I've always said that when I talk about my goal, it is going on this journey of an unknown destination. That's how I used to describe it. It's like going, at the time, I used to say going on a bus of an unknown destination. And there are some people who are on the bus with us, and others are cheering us on. And those who are cheering us on are the people that I call supporters. And essentially, what that translates to mean is that while we're on this journey, life is going to happen. And the life happening requires us to be able to connect with other people who are also on it with us. So along the journey, I just decided that, okay, you know what? I need to be able to talk to people who know what the heck they're talking about and how to empower and how to encourage. And I need to grow along with it. And I have to say that because of my goal and what we do and all the amazing people I've met, families that I've connected with, I am so much in a better place, and I feel that when I'm overwhelmed or looking like I can get overwhelmed, and it gets there, right? I gained some skill set from talking to people, but above all, knowing that I was created for a purpose. So if you know me outside of the My Goal Circle, you know that I'm very passionate about people connecting to their purpose, why God created you in the first place. So, so, so important. But oftentimes we're unable to do that fully because of some things that we're walking through, right? So I want to encourage you with this. And that's the theme for tonight's conversation is that God gives us grace, and He has given us grace today to parent, to parent through guilt, fear, and uncertainty. So I throw out there to some of the families to say, what are some of the topics that you want me to talk about? And they said, talk about guilt. So tonight we're going to talk about three of them actually: guilt, fear, and uncertainty. But not just to say that I'm guilty, but to know that God has given us grace to parent through those emotions. So that's really, 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 really important that you and I understand that we're going to have our moments that we feel overwhelmed, we feel that ting, and I've had that. So I'll share a little bit of some of that experiences as I go along. So once again, I want to welcome any and everyone who is here with me today, to really, really, really highlight the key things that I will say, which is we're going to parent through guilt. We want to parent through the fear. We want to parent through the uncertainty. So if you're listening, driving, folding laundry, sitting somewhere, waiting, or even still in a rare quiet moment, I just want you to know that this conversation is for you. It's for me. We're talking about what most people are not saying out loud: guilty, fearful, uncertain, right? So you may be asking yourself this kind of question: am I doing enough? Did I miss something earlier? Could I have done something differently? What will happen to my child in the future? Am I strong enough for this journey? And the reality is what I'm saying, even when I'm bringing in the context of parenting a special needs child, an adult or young adult. For those maybe listening in and like, okay, what the heck is Genevieve talking about this time? It's we all go through it. We ask these questions. Am I doing enough? Am I enough sometimes? And I'll detour by saying, yes, you are enough. Or did I miss something that I could have done earlier? Sometimes we do, but it doesn't mean the end of the world, right? And these thoughts can feel relentless, but I promise you, the maker who created the heaven and the earth, he offers you something more powerful, something more freeing, and that's called something called grace. It means that you got to give yourself some leeway because he gives it to you and I. There is enough of it today. You have grace. And it's something that's unmerited. It's not something that you feel like you deserve, but it's the reality is that we need to give ourselves that and we have to allow ourselves that. And we have to even recognize that we're going through what we're going through, right? So that word is called grace. Um, all day long, people have been asking, "How you doing?" Because there's some things that I'm working on and some major projects, and they're like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Grace." But then that's my grace, right? So grace for next year. It's not grace for next year. It's not grace for when everything is and figured out. Not everyone, everything is figured out. It's grace for this moment. One of my favorite portion of scripture that I like to meditate on is from a book called Lamentation, and it's this prophet that was lamenting about things. But he said something that was really powerful, and I want to share that with you. And it's in chapter 3, and it's verse 22 and 23. And it says, because of God's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassion never fails. We are not consumed. You and I are not going to fall apart. They're new every morning. So great is his faithfulness, new mercy. You're getting new. You get to do reset every day. And it means that today's challenges will also come with God's supply of grace. And we need to give ourselves that permission to know that, yeah, it's not always going to be perfect, but God is going to give me grace to keep going. So let's talk about that first heavyweight emotion, that emotion of guilt. What does that guilt look like? Guilt looks like when we feel like I should have noticed that sign earlier. Guilt is feeling that piece that what I'm frustrated, and you feel guilty for feeling frustrated. But the frustration is real because things are not lining up all the time, but we feel guilty for feeling that way. Feeling guilt because you're like, I'm just tired. And because you're tired, you're like, I should push more. Feeling guilt for wishing that life could wear a little bit more easier, right? And it's not. And you're just like, but I shouldn't feel that way. But it's not right now, right? Guilt for giving your other children attention, or better yet, not giving the other children attention. I've been there where you're just like, why am I spending all these hours and hours and hours? You just feel bad. And you're like, but I shouldn't feel that way. But recognizing that that feeling is normal, it can happen. It's how we respond to it that's important. But recognizing that we are going to have our moment of feeling guilty. Guilt for wanting to get away from your child. Have you ever had that where you're just like, I just want to go away and close the door? That they're not even, it's that thought that fleets in for a minute. There's nothing wrong with you and I for having those moments. But once again, it's how we respond. Do we allow that thing to carry, becoming like a little baggage because you feel guilty all the time? That is what I'm talking about, right? So hear this, that the moment when you start to say, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe if I didn't even go to that place, or maybe if I didn't interact with that person, or why is this happening to my child? All those emotions. And I will put a disclaimer right here that I'm not a psychologist, but I am a woman of faith. And what I'm saying is to help us to process. And if you're hearing me describe this and you feel like, whoa, that's me, and I need to find a way to work it out, I will highly recommend that you seek professional help. Really, 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 really important because that emotion is too weighty to let it land on your back and for you to carry around. But what I'm talking about here is that our momentarily moments when we feel it, what can we be doing about it? But if you're somebody who's listening and you're like, this is my life all the time, then it's more than what just listening. It means that it needs to be actively worked upon, right? So, what I want to encourage you to, is that your child is not a punishment. No, not a punishment. You didn't do anything wrong. The fact that you're tired is not because there's something wrong with you. You're not a failure for that, right? Because the weight of having to process things. Earlier today, Nick had the doctor's appointment, and I had to park everything I was doing so that I could be attentive for that appointment. Make sure that the team that is providing the care, we're looking at what are the best things, right? Options when, just a routine physical. But the point there is that I need to like mentally check in. And when I don't, there's like a twinge of like guilt for a minute, like, why aren't you paying attention? But I have to realize that it requires concerted effort to make sure I cross my T's, dot my I's, communicate that, yeah, I have questions and I need answers, right? And so that process is part of what I have to do. And when I don't do it, there's the moment where like, okay, you should have paid more attention. But then I'm like, I've been on this journey for so long. Sometimes you just need a break. And sometimes I have to reschedule things just so that I can mentally be there. So my point here is that it is part of the journey to have to say, I need a break. Even as a parent, ask for the break. Do you ask for a break or timeout? Like 1 minute, I'll be right there. I can't answer you right now. Especially if you know that it's weighty, whatever the issue is, pause. I'll get back to you. You know? So it's like your humanity and where you're going through does not disqualify you from being a good parent. Fear is also the next one I want to talk about. That's that other emotional weight. Fear often lives in the future. Who will care for my son when I'm gone? Will they be safe? Will they be understood? Will they suffer? What if they don't make the right decisions? I know parents that are struggling right now with the whole idea of this individual needs to make decisions on your own, but can I trust them to make the best decision? And sometimes that is a weight that they're carrying. And you're wondering, I need to let them make their own decisions. They should have autonomy, but they don't have it all together yet to do so. So what can I put in place to ensure that they do that? Right? And that's a great question. If you're there and you're a parent or a caregiver and you are in that spot, it is so important to talk to professionals who can give you strategies on how to do that, the tools that you can put in place. So rather than letting fear immobilize you, it might be important to say, let me think about who I can talk to, who have walked that journey, who is going through those things. Because sometimes it's the attempt of wanting to protect our loved one coming from a place of fear, it makes us become controlling. That we take their human rights away. Human rights is their right to make decisions. And as long as there is a conversation and there's instruction and strategies, that's going to be really, really important. I was reflecting on this and I realized that anytime I'm going through that pathway of starting to have that fear-minded thinking, I need to pause and check in with the creator that gave me the permission to be the custodian and check in from what I call headquarters, right? Because God directly says to us, He said, do not fear. I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God, right? He says that he will strengthen us. I'm reading a portion of scripture that's Isaiah 41, if you want to know. And he said, he didn't say, go figure out everything. He didn't say that. He said, don't be afraid. So, parents, let's admit that mind in the middle of the night, you're thinking what's going to happen. And somebody put the acronym fear, false evidence appearing real. The thing that hasn't happened yet that we start thinking that's going to happen doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare. It just means that we just need to take consideration for all the things that could, but let's not let that paralyze to the point where it becomes controlling, right? So that's really, 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 really important. So the next piece to think about is um, uncertainty. That's it. Third emotional weight. So I was talking about guilt. I was talking about fear. And now I'm talking about the third one, uncertainty, the things that we struggle with, right? So sometimes we're living this journey. That's why I do this talk. Because some of us are on this journey that's a lot different than other people's journey. And it's important to understand that there's a lot of uncertainty. Um, and the milestones for your loved ones, and even all of us really can say that life is not promised in any particular way. But for some, it's a lot more uncertain, right? We don't know how the outcomes will be. We walk by faith and not by sight. So the point here is that we humans always want to kind of know what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. What I'm here to say to you is get into the habit of saying, I'm going to be okay with not knowing the full picture. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to walk by faith and not by sight. So, what are some of the things that some of the key takeaways I want you to get from this? I'm not going to belabor the conversation too long today, right? I want us to really think about the fact that we need to overcome the feelings of guilt by loving people, our loved ones, without wanting to control them. That's important. That's how you overcome, because I think the controlling component is really, really, really what makes us live in this constant thinking that, hey, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done that, because we want to control everything. So remember, you and I are responsible. The only thing we're responsible to do is do our very best. Best to love, best to give our 100% when we can. And when we feel like we're empty, go get refilled. And you've heard me many times talk about this all the time, right? That we don't have the full complement and we have to be okay with that, right? The other thing also we need to think about is that we're not omnipotent, meaning that we are not all powerful. We're not all present. We can't be everywhere. We can't do all of it, but we do our best. So fear is what we're going to get rid of and replace it with what we call faith. Faith means that I'm just going to trust that the God that created my loved one will see through it, that they'll be fine. And I'm going to trust that he'll bring people when I'm not here. We're all going to die one day. Reality. We are. You pay taxes. You're going to die. It's nothing to be fearful of if you are sure of where you're going to be when you die. But one thing you can do is make preparations. We've talked about, for some people doing special needs trusts, setting up accounts, doing some things to ensure that your loved ones can be cared for. If they can care for themselves, absolutely, that's what we want. But beyond just even neurotypical we still have to prepare for post when we're not here. But we don't do it out of fear, we do it out of faith. So I want you to be able to just sharing a lot of the pearls and things that helps me to keep going, not knowing what's around the corner, is trust God with all your heart and don't depend on your own understanding of how to do things. In all your ways, acknowledge Him as the source, the beginning, the end of everything, and He will direct your steps. He'll give you what you need for the hour that you need it. So trust God does not mean eliminate planning. It doesn't remove panic. It just removes panic, rather. It just removes the need to feel like weighty. Now, my last point here is also about the whole uncertainty part, right? So we just really, really, really want to be mindful that we're not always going to have the full complement of everything we need to know. But there is the Almighty God who created you and I He gives us assurance that we all things will work together. It does. It always does. One thing that I learned, I was sharing with our intern recently, was I remember when COVID happened. It happened in March 2020. And every year we do our Bowling for Autism event, and we do it as a means to do fundraising. And one of the key things that we do is coming together live and having fun while we raise funds. And COVID happened. And then we're sitting there like, what are we going to do? Do we cancel? Do we not? Remember that time? For some people, it was really traumatic. We lost people. But in the midst of sitting down and thinking about it, we were able to figure out how to strategically continue. And we had a virtual bowl-a-thon. Had never been done before. Was creative. We raised money to help our families for the grant program. And it kept going. It was uncertain, but wisdom came, strategy came, and people loved it. They were part of that. We did it as a video game, blah, blah, blah. It was fun. We had a great time. But at the hour, I was just like, how are we going to make this happen? And if that's been my focus in life, is that we just need to trust that in that hour, in that moment, things will work itself out. Now, does it mean that you don't plan ahead? You do. You do the best, but you don't do it with rigidity, but you do it with flexibility. So the conversation today really is about what do we need to be able to parent through those emotions that are very weighty, the emotion of guilt, the emotion of fear, the emotion of uncertainty. What do we need? We need grace. Give yourself enough grace that you're enough, you didn't do anything wrong, that God will make things work together. Your child or your loved one or your individual that you care about, they're looking at you and seeing your love for them. And that's the most important thing. And if you're the parent that I was talking about earlier, feeling very guilty, feeling very anxious, feeling very fearful, you need to note that those feelings are not good. They will actually cause health issues, and you need to get it addressed immediately. While you're worried about the future, you worrying about the future can actually take you out sooner, and you don't want that. So get professional help. The help is here for you. Go get it. And that's one of the best things. Now, if you're worried about what's going to happen to your child in the future because of finances, how they're going to make decisions, that's part of the journey to walk with your loved one and start to find what resources can help them. Trusted resources that can be put in place to ensure that they end up well. And I trust that that will help you. So, Pat, thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. I hope this conversation has been helpful, encouraging, a blessing in many ways for each one of us. Because as I'm talking to myself. Right. So we're going to trust that you're going to do some takeaways. And I just want you to think about what emotion that I talked about that you felt, okay, she's speaking to me and I need to do something about it. I want you to address it and I want you to release it and just say, I'm no longer going to stay guilty. I'm not going to stay in that place. I am enough. I'm doing what I need, and God is going to honor what I am doing. I thank you, Reach, for saying that it's helped you. Because it's so, so, so important that we give ourselves a break. I'll tell you this. I remember when we were my kids were going through their graduations. My son's graduation had to be a little different than the girls. And for a fleeting moment, I was like, how can it can't be it? God has to say to me, everyone has a different pathway and a different journey. And what you do is to maximize that person's journey for them the best way. So don't feel bad because it had to be different. I remember my older one couldn't graduate normal because of COVID. I couldn't be at her graduation because it was virtual at the time. I was so upset. I'm like, why? Paid all this money for college. I can't. And it's like, on the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. No, it was more for me, but she got the outcome she needed. So that's encouragement to all of us. On that note, I want to say thank you for being a part of this. We have some upcoming events and programs that are coming, and Nife is going to talk about that. She's one of our program assistants. Please let us know what topics you want us to talk about. For future, we'd love to hear from you. And I know that Rebecca Zegas, who is our BCBA, who is on our advisory board, is going to be talking about keeping our children safe, practical safety strategies for families with children with autism. And it's going to be on Sunday, March 8th at 4 p.m. So that's up and coming. If you want to share the other upcoming stuff that's coming up.
Yes, yes. Thank you everyone for coming today. After our Ask the Expert, we have Winter Swim Meetup coming up, which has been very, very popular. So basically, kids come, parents come, you swim in a heated pool. It's a really good way to connect with other autism families. And it's free, and the pool is heated. So it's a really good time. So we're doing another one on March 14th, and then our last one until the summer will be on April 11th. So make sure you scan the QR code to sign up. Invite your friends, invite your family members. Let's make it a really big thing. And then moving on, we have our next empowerment moment, which will be taking place March 26th at 7, same time. So if you know anybody else, especially that needs encouragement in this season, maybe they need a little pick me up, of course, you can always invite them, tell them to come out. And we also stream live on Facebook for anybody who may not have access to Zoom or anything like that. And then we have Social Hour Live in March, March 28th. Uh, please note the night time change. It won't be at 9 a.m., it'll be at 12 p.m. So instead of breakfast, we'll be doing a nice, fun little brunch. So, caregivers, anybody you know, or you personally, if you just need some time to connect with other caregivers, you just want to talk with people who are like minded and understand some of the things that you're experiencing, come out to Social Hour Live. And then, of course, our grant, 2026 grant, we're still open. We're open until April 30th. So you can scan the QR code or take a picture or a screenshot of this flyer. You can send it out to any family, especially those in New Jersey that are just maybe needing some extra money. It's a scholarship at essentially giving out $1,000 to 25 families across the United States. Um, yeah, the applicants have to be a primary caregiver of an individual on the autism spectrum that is underneath the age of 18.
Thank you,
And
Nife.
then,
Thank you, Nife. I was going to say that. It's
yeah,
important.
has to be a dependent. And then lastly, we have our highly anticipated bowl-a-thon. This year we'll be switching it up a little bit. We're having a bowl and play. So we're still bowling, but the bowling alley that we're at has a full arcade. So we'll be incorporating that into the event. So everybody come out, scan the QR code at the bottom, or visit us at bit.ly/2026 bowling. Pre-registration is $35 for adults and children. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be Sunday, April 26th from 2 to 5. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor. We're going to raise money for autism. We're going to come together as a community and have lots and lots of fun. It's everybody's favorite event. So you really do not want to miss it this time. Yeah, so come out. And then, of course, I sent a link in the chat with our survey. So basically, our survey, just let us know how you liked the event today. If there's any suggestions or thoughts that you want to see in future sessions in 2026, of course, we always want to know what you guys think. And if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to tell us, you can email us at info@mygoalinc.org. It's also in the chat if you couldn't see it before.
All right. Thank you, Nife. That was awesome. So bowl and play. Did you see that? Play on words. This is what happens when you're working with some amazing Gen Zs. They are creative because I said, hey, we got to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So we want you to come out and join us Sunday. Please note the date, Sunday, April 26th, if you're local. If you're not local, but you want to support what we do, we would love for you to do so. As you said, we have the goal of raising resources to help at least 25 families across the continental United States. It is for the United States applicants only. We also want to say that we're getting a lot of applications this year. So although the deadline goes up to April 30th, if we hit our max um, number, we will have to close the portal down and then go into review mode. It's just the reality is we have limited resources and we can only do so much. So we want to be able to be a blessing to as many families as we have. Can you believe that for 18 years almost, we've been doing this consistently every year? And it's because of all the generous supporters out there. I don't take a salary. This is all part of making sure resources that gets through the organization gets back into the people. And at the top of the conversation, I said, we exist to support families facing autism and other intellectual disabilities throughout their lifespan. And we do so by creating connections and providing resources. The resources is part of this tangible resources for families to be able to get therapies, to be able to, and we are pretty liberal because then the goal here is we know people have physical needs. They have a lot of things going on. And sometimes it's as simple as somebody want a bed for their child. I mean, it is the basic needs that we try to meet, inclusive of them getting therapies and services as well too. So as an organization, it's a blessing to be a blessing. And we want you to partner with us to be the blessing to so many families. And if you're like, you know what, I want to be tangibly present, we'll love for you to join us that afternoon. So we're going to be back in Piscataway. That's where we started from. Piscataway is where we were in New Jersey. We're back there again. So looking forward to being a part of this and being a blessing to our families. So on that note, there's grace for you today to parents. There's grace for you. So get through the guilt, get through the fear, and get through the uncertainty and come over to the other side of having faith and trust that God will bring you through to provide the care for your loved one that they need. So on that note, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic evening. God bless you. Bye bye now.